Are you ready? Fight, 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 fight. Over to Jack Holmes. Thank you for the support. I don't really fancy my chances in this battle, right? Because I feel like Reggie chose me to roast because I'm an easy target, because I have a job, a girlfriend, and a life. Reggie, on the other hand, has no hobbies, no interests, and can't buy his own clothes. Do you have any idea how hard it is to roast someone who can't afford to have a personality?
I don't have a girlfriend, a job, or whatever, life. I just have a career. Sorry, Jack. So for those of you who don't know, funny you bring up your girlfriend buying clothes for me, because the only reason that Jack looks presentable tonight is because his girlfriend picks out all his clothes for him, which is great because Jack has the fashion sense of a public masturbator.
Yeah, that was a low blow, because my girlfriend's in the room and she picked out the clothes so you can make fun of her. What you guys don't know is that Reggie's clothes were picked out for him by a close personal family friend who died last year. Unfortunately, from the way he's dressed, it looks like she picked out the clothes while she was having the heart attack.
That's a hard one to beat. I'm just going to skip to what I was going to close this one with. Last year, Jack got paid 50 euros to do comedy, and his first instinct was to make this. Oh, come on. Jack, you shaved orangutan! Jack is basically a bang bus bimbo on spring break. Give him $50, he'll probably show you his tits.
Yeah, Reggie, you can take pictures like that when you make money from doing comedy.
He had to borrow the money from me.
The thing is, Reggie, he is a full-time comedian, which also means he's broke. And he's spoken to me in the past about committing suicide because he's so broke. What Reggie hasn't factored into account is that you need 3 feet of rope to make a noose, and rope costs 4 euros a foot. So at present, Reggie would need to make 12 euros to be worthless enough to die.
Thank you, Kathy Bates with bigger tits. Jack and Kathy Bates actually have very similar careers. Despite his years of work in entertainment, he's mostly known for misery.
Wow, you haven't heard silence like that since you asked your mum where Dad was. Reggie wants to be the most successful comedy promoter in Vienna, but compared to his competitor, he's half as tasteful, half as successful, and half as black. Reggie, you are literally Diet Okello.
Speaking of diets, though you can't tell by his look, Jack is actually vegan. Which is ironic because every time he takes off his shoes, it leaves the room smelling like cheese.
You know, Reggie, I feel sorry for your mum. Because her first husband abandoned her, her second husband was executed for murder, and yet you are still the biggest scumbag that's ever been inside of her.
All right. You know, the funny thing is, he spent 2 weeks being like, Reggie, I can't possibly be mean to you. He likes to take his high horse because, you don't know, Jack's very progressive. He even makes sure that children use gender-neutral pronouns. Every time a kid sees Jack, they say, Mommy, what is that? It's 5.
That's 5. Yep. Thank you very much. Did you enjoy that? Well, let's see what the judges thought. Tamash.
Your comments and who you thought won that round, please.
Wow. You guys don't notice, but Jack spent the past 2 weeks just walking around saying, I am so gonna get fucked up in this. You won this round, dude. Like, I have to say, the heart attack joke was perfect. I really loved it. I really loved it. That's it.
That's one vote for Jack. Paul, what did you think?
All right, instead of just going by gut and actual hard truths, I have to admit that just from a confidence level, Jack blew it out of the water and just destroyed Reggie, which is so fun to see. Even though I'm very neutral. Let me just finish. The double mom comeback was so good that I had to write it down twice. So yeah, Jack definitely killed Reggie.
So that's the first round to Jack. So for the second round, they'll have a bit longer to lay into each other. Ready? For the second round, we'll put Reggie first. Are you ready? Fight. 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 Reginald Bärris!
Keep it going for the Quasimodo of comedy. Before Jack's current girlfriend, he had a dry spell that lasted 6 years. But to be fair, in the 6 years, he was very busy ringing bells in clock towers. Jack likes to make fun of me, saying that my standards are too low, but it's not like I would ever fuck a dirty, smelly animal, which is something Jack's girlfriend can no longer say. When Jack asked his girlfriend on their first date, he fed her drinks till she was drunk enough to say yes. She got so wasted she asked me if Jack put something in her drink. I said, definitely not. Jack could never afford roofies and Viagra. I shouldn't make fun of Jack for using Viagra. After 6 years without sex, this dum-dum just forgot how to get an erection. Jack's girlfriend openly fantasizes about me and Jack having sex. But that's not surprising because his last girlfriend dumped him to marry one of his friends. So clearly all of Jack's girlfriends want to see him get fucked by a buddy.
Thank you, Abe from Abe's Odyssey. Right. Just so everyone's clear, Reginald Bärris is called Reginald on stage. Off stage, he goes by Reggie and often gets very frustrated because people can't spell Reggie right. So I'll tell you how to do it. It's R-E-G-I, the same as the first 4 letters in the term registered sex offender. Reggie, you dropped out of music college, you have an unpublished novel, and you're a failing comedian. You're not a successful enough entertainer for anyone to care about your rape allegations. Reggie likes to call himself a card-carrying comedian. The card he carries is a loyalty card for an STD clinic. Reggie's got more STDs than someone with cerebral palsy trying to say the word statistic.
To be fair, you're just jealous because the only thing you've ever got from a girl.
Motherfucker, 5 jokes in a row. Shut the fuck up. First, Bill Cosby was arrested for rape. Then the other day, it turns out that Louis C.K. has locked women in rooms and masturbated in front of them. I'm not sure if there's a connection between being a sex offender and a fantastic comedian. But if there is, we are standing in the presence of the greatest comedian the world has ever known.
I like how you have not counted any of the jokes so far.
I'm enjoying it too much. I'm glad they're not turning their vitriol on me, frankly. Did you enjoy that? Hooray! Let's see what the judges thought. We'll go to Paul first this time. Paul, what did you think of that?
All right, so because I'm Austrian, so I need to be neutral about this, even though I took down 5 notes with...
Those are the Swiss.
All right. Yeah, I want to see a third round, so I'm picking Reggie just to see him destroyed again.
Neutral and patronising. Well done. Okay, Tamas, what did you think? What was your favourite joke, for example, of that exchange?
Well,
look at Paul's notes. He's got copious notes.
No. That wasn't my favorite. I can't read your handwriting.
It's just a picture of a penis.
Well, I think in the first round, I think Reggie was a little. Reggie wasn't expecting Jack to just. That was impartial, and I like the second round. I'd say this was more of a draw.
Oh, so it's a draw. So we've got one for Reggie. We've got a draw. That means.
Can you keep track of all that?
I can draw you a chart.
You can.
He's very Austrian. He can draw you a chart.
Okay.
Yeah?
That means that round goes to Reggie. Which means we're into the final deciding round. Are you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? Your first contender for this round is Mr. Jack Holmes. Fight! 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 Fight!
You know, here's the difference between me and Reggie. I tell dark jokes to make up for the attention my dad never gave me. Reggie tells dark jokes to make up for the skin his dad never gave him.
Speaking of parents, Jack's mother is actually a professional cake maker. One of her creations is a vanilla cream-filled butterball that's riddled with cholesterol, and she also makes cakes.
Reggie, you're unemployed, you don't know your dad, and you've been arrested for drug charges. I'm amazed how you're able to be a black stereotype and white trash at the same time.
I am unemployed. For Jack's day job, he works in a kitchen. Jack, you fat sack of shit. You working in a kitchen is like a pedophile running a daycare. I bet you play strip club music every time you peel a potato.
Reggie was such a disappointment to his dad that when he left for a pack of cigarettes and never came back, he took his genetics with him.
I make fun of Jack a lot, but he actually does have a lot of redeeming qualities. What Jack lacks in intelligence, good looks, talent, a sense of humor, personality, ability to spell, musical ability, general health, or hope for the future, Jack more than makes up for in pass.
Reggie's gonna get kicked out of his student accommodation next year because. Don't worry, Reggie, you spent so much time living in my shadow, I'm pretty sure you've got squatter's rights by now.
"30 minutes of Jack's act is just him yelling about pickles, sesame seeds, and unicycles. I haven't seen Jack so unnecessarily angry since he found out Ben & Jerry's wasn't vegan.
Reggie has a podcast that he's named All Ears on Us, which he named after a Tupac album. So that's 2 male role models that you had who died whilst on death row.
That's a reference to my stepfather who was murdered for a crime he didn't commit. He was accused of murder. So just like you, Jack, he's also never really killed. And for my last joke, look, Jack, I tried really hard to understand. I'm actually surprised how much they laughed considering how poorly you speak. Jack's pronunciation and spelling are so bad, it sounds like you learned English watching blowjob scenes in porn. Every time this stuttering fuck reads aloud, it sounds like Helen Keller trying to beatbox.
That's the end of the battle. Shake hands, guys. Shake hands. Good fight. Well done. Way. Right, let's turn it over to the judges and see who they thought won that final deciding round. Tamas, what did you think?
Holy fuck. That was... Can I just ask a question, like, real quick? Reggie, am I right if I assume you completely fucking underestimated Jack?
100%. I did. Literally everyone. He ran his jokes by people that we both ran jokes by, and they told him, "Yeah, you're gonna lose." And then here we are.
Yeah, Jack won that to me. That was wow. Wow, like I'm shocked. Who are you? You're not that.
Okay, so
Alpha comic. That's who I
so Tamas, Jack gets your vote for that round.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul, what do you think?
Well, I think I'm not even necessary at this point, to be honest. But yeah. So yeah. So in this round, I think it was actually head-to-head because Reggie finally realized what he created. And he's like, oh, I have to catch up now, basically. Which you fair and squarely did, but you did two major mistakes. First of all, at the insult stage, you said pass, and that was a cop-out, so yeah, that's ooh. And there is vegan...
You son of a bitch. It's called humor and misdirection, you illiterate fuck.
And the more...
There's no order to that joke. It does not make sense. Set up, punchline. Set up, but no punchline.
And the second one was there is vegan Ben & Jerry's. So, yeah, that disqualifies you.
Ooh. That reaction is why I didn't bring up vegan Ben & Jerry's when he made that joke.
That reaction is what you deserve.
Okay, ladies.
So, yeah, Jack.
So who gets your vote?
Yeah. Jack. Yeah, sorry, Reggie,
Jack.
but it's just the hard truth.
No, Jack won.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, there was a bet riding on this, the outcome of this, and as a result of the bet, Jack gets to shave Reggie's head. Do you want to see that? Who wants to see that? Shave, 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 shave.
I'm gonna keep these as a trophy.
Fucking hell. Is that it? Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up one more time for your two fantastic contestants. Reginald Bärris and your alpha comic, Jack Holmes. Do you want to say something?
Yeah. So, this has been a show. Have you had fun?
Yeah!